evening, everyone. The words we say and hear every day can be interpreted as a truth or a lie. But what most don't realize is that some of these words can lead to significant actions based entirely on fraudulent statements. What do I mean by that? Well, magicians use tricks and special effects to deceive in good fun. This is entertainment for us, but there's a negative side to deceit. Our project focuses on the political expenses incurred based on deceit. What if I told you that politicians are deceitful? No surprise, right? Of course they lie, everybody lies. But would you be more inclined to go out and vote if you knew who was more deceitful and what topics they were frequently referencing in deceit? Before we move on, I just want to introduce our group. This is Chris, Brandon, Anthony, and I'm Snap. Okay, so before we dive into our model and report our findings, let's look at the total budget for 2016. As you can see, we have a severe spending problem. This year alone, we're projected to spend $6.7 trillion. Since 2010, we've increased spending by $400 billion. Just let that sink in. $6.7 trillion is what we're projected to spend this year for the federal government. Okay. To break it down and put these figures into relatable terms per capita, I'll give you an analogy. So using 2013 dollars, the median family income was $52,000. If a typical family spent money like the federal government, they'd be spending $64,000 a year. This means they'd be charging $12,000 on their credit card every year, despite being already in debt $312,000. Scary thought. So where does the federal spending go? It's broken down into three parts: mandatory spending, discretionary spending, and interest on federal debt. By far, the biggest category of discretionary spending is spending on military programs. Other programs include early childhood education programs like Head Start, Title I grants, Pell grants, for low-income college students, Social Security, unemployment, and labor. In 2015, the United States government spent about half of our budget on military, about $73 billion on government programs, and $70 billion in education. So politicians have a heavy influence on where and how the government's federal money, your tax dollars, are allocated. Yes, as citizens we do vote, but many of the decisions made are influenced by government officials. So the question is, who are we voting into office, and can we trust these politicians? This year, 2016, is a presidential election year, as we all know. These are the faces of the people that we trust with our budget. We see their smiles, we see their style, we hear what they're saying. But we need to be sure that they're truthful. We need to make sure they're being truthful. How are we going to make that happen? Well, lucky for you, we built a model using PolitiFact. First, take it away.
Thank you, Sana. Has anyone heard of PolitiFact? Most likely you have, because it's our project. So PolitiFact is the best resource for statements and a classifier of true or false, or somewhere in between. So here you could see that we're looking at two specific candidates and where their statements lie on the spectrum of all statements they collect. I think it says here that Donald Trump is mostly speaking falsities, and Bernie Sanders is speaking truths. But we'll dive deeper now into the data set that we collected. So we collected about 144 different sources of statements. Those are politicians, those are the wives and children of politicians. And we also scraped all the political candidates, including Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. We also took their statement and a classifier. And that classifier is the statement mostly true or mostly false. So as you can see here, these are the three main important ingredients in building our model. So what did we do with our data? Well, we scraped 196 pages of PolitiFact and collected about 4,000 statements. These statements had to be recoded, so we took true and mostly true and made them all true, where we took any range after that. That's mostly false, pants on fire, half true. Those were all coded as falses, which gave us our spread of data being 33% true, and 66% of the statements are considered false. So this was really an excellent source. for building our model, and in total we were able to include 3,213 reviews. Next we have Brandon in how we determined our features.
Thank you, Chris. So, besides the fact that a lot of statements are just labeled as true or false, we figured that we needed to add more in order to get a better grasp of whether someone's actually telling the truth or they're lying. So, the U.S. military investigation on deception actually cross-validated 10 different models, and as shown based on that chart, they have 12 different features that they created. We used, due to limit on time and our Python skills, we did 4 of the top 5 features, which comes down to word quantity, so how many times the word appears in each statement. Sentence quantity, how many sentences are in each statement. First person plural, how many first person plural words were used in that statement. And first person singular was how many first person singular words used in that statement. So this may be a little much to take in, but we cross-validated 3 different models: the naive Bayes, the decision tree, and the logistic regression. We ended up that the naive Bayes trigrams wound up being our best model, mainly based on the fact that the false recall is 0.87, while the precision is 0.875. We chose this one because of the distribution amongst true and false, although we mainly focus on false words for this one. Next slide. So, for an example, I know confusion matrix can kind of be confusing ironically. If we took a sample of 100 statements, and our data said we have 66% false. So that means 66 statements of those 100 are considered false. Based on our model alone, 57 of those 66 we're able to correctly identify as false. I figure that's a very large amount based on our models. So here's some most informative features. We found out that the word background actually appears in true statements 17 more times than it does in false statements. So in doing analysis, we found out that terms such as background checks or the lack of background checks, especially with things such as mass shootings going on all over the country, those appear as true statements in most politicians. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the word told, which appears false 5 more times than it does in true statements. After analysis on that word, we found out that when politicians said that they were told or not told by another third party, they were often lying. They were also using other people as their scapegoats instead of claiming responsibility. Next slide, please. Now, Chris can take you through one of our features.
What we did with feature engineering was really pretty impressive, even to me, after being in all of these classes. After we looked at the number of words said by the politicians, we were able to split them based on true statement or false statement. And what you're able to see here is that true statements generally have more words across all 4 of these candidates, whereas false statements are generally shorter. In the future, we're going to highlight a couple more features that are very important, but it's safe to say that false statements are shorter. Just like that statement.
Okay, so as Brandon said, we only took a few of the many features that we could have used to improve our modeling. So in order to improve our modeling even further, we could take certain features like use of second-person pronouns, average word length, the contact word diversity, the amount of different words being used in a sentence, and the passive verb ratio to further improve our modeling. Other features that we could use from other articles that we found are the measure of cognitive load. Usually when liars try to hide the truth, their working memory increases. Also the expression of anger and denial in their emotions, as well as the use of unspecified emotions, positive, negative, so tends to be more pleasant or unpleasantness in their way to communicate. This is going to be a video on Obama. Just make sure you keep attention to the pace and tone at which he speaks.
Over the past 8 years, the United States has reduced our total carbon pollution more than any other nation on Earth.
Keep in mind that is a false statement. And the next video I'm going to show you, just keep an eye on eye contact as he says the statement from his interview on CNBC.
And the vast majority of the money I got was from small donors all across the country. And the vast majority of the money I got was from small donors all across the country.
As you can see, he had very little eye contact in this other false statement. Now in this next video is a truth statement. Watch how he speaks more concise and a lot more clear in the words that he uses.
Exxon pocketed nearly $4.7 million every hour.
Not a lot of words, but they were more concise and he was a lot more accurate in what he was saying. So in conclusion, even though our model did have predictive value, we can still improve on it. As you can see from the videos that we had before, eye contact, pitch, tone were things that we couldn't measure with our model. In addition, we can also have professionals such as journalists fact-checking each political statement to make sure that in concise with the computer modeling to improve our accuracy in detecting deception in political statements. Thank you.
Question in front.
Yes, sir.
Did you lie on any of your metrics?
We checked probably 35 times if hitting shift enter on the Python.
Well,
Just to be clear, if it's wrong,
I must say that I'm disappointed. I thought you were going to tell us who lies more, Donald Trump or Hillary or...
Donald Trump.
I know. I thought you were going to do some further analysis on that, but this is good.
we don't make it too
We didn't
political.
want to like,
I know.
Yeah.
The point is being able to tell as he's saying something if it's a true or if it's a lie. So we know the story.
How do you feel about the model accuracy?
We're very skeptic, although we're very proud of our model accuracy. But
It's so good they're concerned that it's too good.
given more time, we would definitely keep going back into and reevaluating our model. We've even tried using different random samples. Metrics don't change much, which still kind of concerns me. But so this is what we have. But if given more time, we definitely would have looked into it a lot.
But you know that all these politicians have access to all this research. They are coached to look into your eyes when they're lying.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very true.
And that's the difficult part of deception. It really is.
Yes, Carlos.
So I was wondering why you guys didn't use more huge words, or better words?
Huge. They were huge.